Are you still falling prey to the voices of fears? Do you still find yourself acting on the voices of fears? Or are you ready to find out why fear can't be trusted? Hi everyone, I'm Ronak and welcome to Me and You, where the aim is not to follow one another but walk together into the world of Disney inspiration, where I share my reflections and introspective insights on a Disney-inspired quote, and I wish you do the same. Find out what meaning the quote holds for you in your life. For inspiration, quotes are like tiny dots, and it's up to us to connect them in the right order so that we can find our bigger picture in life. And so, to all the newcomers, as I welcome you to this channel, I truly hope that you're ready to put on your introspective glasses as you begin your journey within. And for those who've already been walking with me, I welcome you once again. Before I begin, for those who've not had a chance to see the previous video series, 10 Steps to Manifesting Your Dream Life the Disney Way, and COVID 20 Ways to Unlock the Genie Within, I truly recommend that you go ahead and watch them first, for that forms the basis for this brand new video series. You'll find the links to the playlists in the description box below. So let's continue to our second step in our series, 10 Steps to Living Your Dream Life the Disney Way, with the second quote from the Disney movie Frozen, where Elsa says, "Fear can't be trusted." As I was introspecting on this quote, and I hope you do too as we walk together today, the first question that I asked myself was, what is fear? What is fear? And as I was reflecting on it, I decided to revisit at least a few experiences in life wherein I had felt fearful to fully understand fear. And as I was introspecting on those experiences, I realized that fear was a sensation that I felt in the body every time I tried to step out of my known zone. It was an emotion that I felt and experienced every time I tried to venture into the unknown. To share an experience that I revisited. At the age of 17, I was fortunate enough to be selected to go to New York as an exchange student for a year. Coming from a back then small town called Surat in India, and not having gone anywhere alone, going halfway across the world for a year was not only scary but fearful. Having been prepped enough by my parents, I found myself on a plane alone for the first time. Having to change flights was something totally new for me back then, something I so take for granted today. And I found myself lost at JFK airport late in the night, trying to find my domestic flight gateway. Looking back, I now realize that fear had kicked in big time that night. Lost in some country's airport that I had never visited. Tired, hungry, sleepy, with no cell phones and Google to help me. Suddenly, these voices of, now what? What will I do? How will I catch my flight? I'll miss my flight, and so on, started to creep in. Fears had kicked in big time. But fortunately, I realized as I was reflecting back on that experience that I had pushed past all of those voices and had found myself awakening to a more presence of mind. Somehow gathering stands and all the courage as I possibly could back then, I asked around fearlessly. I did not mind how silly or stupid I sounded. I did not mind how many times I asked the same questions to different people, and so on. I had that night managed to catch my flight and reach my final destination, Syracuse. And today, as I introspect on that experience after all these years, I now realize and understand the big lesson that life was trying to teach me at a young age. And that was that there are two types of fears: true fears and false fears. False fears that came in the form of worrisome voices that tried to grab my attention, but offering no such action plan to help me exit out of the current problem at hand. While, on the other hand, true fear awakened me to more presence of mind, stance and courage to actively take steps to find a solution to my current problem at hand, and thereby helping me get on that plane that night. And that's when I understood that fears will kick in every time I try to venture and step out of my known zone. In any area of my life, no matter how much I prepare myself for it. But that did not mean that I don't step out. It only meant that I learned to discern between false fears and true fears. And so then the question was, how? How do I learn to discern between false fears and true fears? For fears came in various forms and disguises. And as I was reflecting on it, this time around I decided to revisit at least one experience in life wherein I had not only felt fearful but had fallen prey to the voices of fears, and thereby finding myself acting on those voices of fears. To share an experience that I revisited, I have been participating in community bowling events since past 5 to 6 years. With consistent practice and dedication towards bettering my game, I considered myself to be a pretty good player. But since past 2 years, as I was reflecting on this experience, I realized that on the D-Day itself, while playing my game, I would become more and more fearful. So much so that I couldn't even play my normal game. And this bothered me so much that I couldn't understand where I was going wrong. I couldn't understand the hidden lesson in this experience. Playing amongst the people I know, playing in the same place since 5 years, playing the same game since 5 years. This time around, everything was known to me. Then what was it that created fear in me? This time around, everything was known to me. Then what was it that brought out the fear in me? Was it the fear of losing? Was it the fear of winning? Was it the fear of not being able to live up to the expectations of my teammates of me? Was it the fear of not being able to live up to my own expectations of me? What was it that made me fall prey to the voices of fears, and thereby finding myself acting on those voices of fears? And why? And as I was reflecting on it, I finally understood why life had put me not once but twice through this experience, and would continue doing so until I learned the lesson. And that's the lesson that I have been learning, and that's the lesson that I've learned over the course of introspecting on these sports, which is that when doubt sets in, fears creep in. When doubt in oneself sets in, fears of all kinds creep in, which in this experience of bowling was, as soon as I would throw a couple of good shots, people around me would cheer me. But internally, I would already be doubting my next shot. With voices of, was it just a sheer good luck? Did I really throw a strike there? The other person is playing better. Was it just a fluke? And so on. These doubtful voices would engulf me and thereby change the course of action in my game, leading to disastrous results. So then the question was, why did fear kick in only during the D-Day? And as I was reflecting on it, I finally realized that life will give me all the time to train and prep up, be it a game or in any area of my life. But the real test will always come on the D-Day itself. For that is when it will throw at me all the possible forms of fears in various disguises. For the real winner is the one who trusts himself enough to recognize the false fears and therefore pushes past them irrespective. And then the game played is but a reflection of it. For the real test is not about the game, the real test is about the trust. For when trust sets in, love comes in. When trust in oneself sets in, love comes in, and there is no room for fear and doubt left anymore. And that's when I understood that this life experience was but a valuable lesson in recognizing these false fears. How they operate at times through me and at times from around me. And why they definitely can't be trusted, for the only trust I need to have in life is in my own self. And so then, now the question was, how do I recognize true fears and what exactly is its nature? And as I was reflecting on it, this time I decided to revisit yet another experience, fairly recent, yet very important. By the time I finish recording and uploading this video, it will be almost exactly 2 years since I created my first me and you video. Having been shy and introvert all my life, this was a complete turnaround from my normal nature. And so recording these videos triggered fears in me that I never knew I so strongly had. My fear of public speaking, being in the spotlight, my fears of being judged, criticized, ridiculed, and worst of all, totally neglected. Fears kicked in big time. And it took all the possible forms and disguises as it possibly could. At times, coming in the form of obstacles such as not having enough know-how or the right gear or the software to record and upload these videos and reach out to as many people as possible. At times, coming in the form of procrastination at its worst. At times, coming in the form of guilt of doing nothing but sitting in reflection and introspection for days at stretch with nothing concrete at hand. And at times, not being able to be consistent enough and having to slow down to prevent burnouts. For I was doing it all alone. And more so. But it was only as I was reflecting on this quote that I understood that these were false fears at play, hoping that I would stop and discontinue. But fortunately, something in me had continued irrespective of it all and had pushed past all of it with a whole load of determination, persistence, and perseverance. For these were the qualities that I now understand fueled into play by my true fears. True fears awakened me not only to the pitfalls of creating these introspective videos, but also to the possibility of completely failing at it if I did not commit to it seriously. True fears led me to bring out my own inner capabilities that lay latent within, by pushing me to notch it up each time with each and every video. True fears propelled me in a positive way to not only learn all that I could in terms of scripting, speaking, recording, editing, and more so, but also to act on all that what I was learning. It expanded me to newer horizons and exposed me to newer possibilities that I didn't know existed before. And that's when I understood why life had put me through so many fearful experiences. It was so that I could find out for my own self that why fear can't be trusted. For the only trust I need to have in life is in my own self. That's when I understood why life had brought to me so many fearful experiences. It was so that I could learn to sharpen my saw of discernment between true fears and false fears. For false fears generates stagnation. True fears create growth. While false fears wanted me to forget everything and run, true fears helped me realize that I can face everything and rise all the way up to love and trust. For that is when I'm finally able to believe in as many as 6 impossible things right before breakfast, which is going to be the basis for my next video. But for now, as we each reflect and introspect on this quote, the question that we need to be asking ourselves is, are we still falling prey to the voices of fears? Do we still find ourselves acting on those voices of fears? Or are we ready to find out for ourselves why fear can't be trusted? I thank you very much for walking with me today. I truly hope that you take out some time to deeply reflect and introspect on this quote by revisiting at least a few of your life experiences wherein you have felt fearful, to fully understand fear and find out for yourself why fear can't be trusted. As always, I look forward for you to sharing this journey with me in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, do like and share it with like-minded people and show your support by subscribing to this channel. And remember to hit that notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. Until next time, and thank you very much.